My daughter called me at 3:17 in the morning. "Mom," her voice cracked, barely a whisper.
"I'm at the police station. Marcus beat me, but he's telling them I attacked him first. They believe him. Mom, please help me."
I heard a sudden crash, a male voice in the background, sharp, commanding. Then the line cut out. My chest tightened. I'd spent 25 years dealing with the most dangerous people in the country, and I'd never felt this kind of fear. This was different. This was Sophie. I threw off the blankets and my feet hit the cold hardwood floor. My bedroom was familiar even in the dark, the dresser I'd bought at an estate sale, the stack of unread books on the nightstand. I grabbed jeans and a sweater from the chair in the corner, then I grabbed the leather jacket I hadn't worn in 5 years, the one with my old badge number still stitched inside the collar. The leather was stiff and cold. It smelled like mothballs and something else, gun oil maybe. My hands were trembling as I zipped it up. I pressed my palms flat against my thighs and took a breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. The same thing I used to tell people when they were too panicked to speak. My car, a 10-year-old Honda with a cracked windshield I kept meaning to fix, was parked in the driveway. The engine coughed twice before turning over. The streets were empty. Street lamps made pools of yellow light every 50 feet. A cat darted across the road and disappeared into someone's yard. The 24-hour gas station on the corner was lit up like a spaceship, one tired clerk visible through the window. I turned onto Marshall Avenue and pressed the accelerator harder. Midtown Precinct was 12 minutes away. I'd made the drive thousands of times. I knew every shortcut, every speed trap, every pothole. The words kept replaying in my head. Marcus had beaten her? Marcus, the man who'd sent me flowers on Mother's Day, who'd helped me move furniture when I'd rearranged my living room last summer, who'd looked me in the eye at Sophie's wedding 2 years ago and promised to take care of her. I'd vetted him, of course. I couldn't help myself. I'd run his name when they first started dating. Clean record. Not even a speeding ticket. Good credit. Successful business. References checked out. I'd liked him. That was maybe the worst part. At family dinners, he'd ask about my cases, not in a nosy way, but genuinely curious. How did you know he was lying? What made you look there? How do abusers usually hide the abuse? I'd thought he was interested in my work, respectful of what I'd done. The precinct building came into view. 3 stories, concrete and glass, American flag hanging limp in the still air. The parking lot had maybe a dozen cars. I pulled into a spot near the entrance. I pushed through the entrance. The smell hit me first. Burnt coffee, industrial floor cleaner, that metallic scent of fear and authority mixed together. The dispatch radio crackled from somewhere in the back. A drunk man was arguing with someone in the holding area. The desk sergeant looked up, and her face went white. "My God," Rita Vasquez breathed. "Is that really you? Detective Hartley?" I'd worked with Rita for 8 years before I retired. She was good people, solid cop. But right now, I didn't care about reunion. "It's just Diana now," I said. My voice came out steadier than I felt. "I'm here for my daughter, Sophie Reed. She called me from here." Rita's expression shifted. "She's in the holding area. There was an incident with her husband." A young officer appeared from the hallway. Baby-faced, mid-20s, name tag, read Mitchell. He looked uncomfortable seeing me talk to Rita. "Ma'am, I'm Officer Mitchell. I responded to the 911 call tonight." He swallowed hard. "Your daughter, Sophie Reed, she was arrested for a domestic assault. Her husband, Marcus Reed, has visible injuries and gave a statement that she attacked him with a lamp. He was defending himself." "What about my daughter?" I kept my voice level. "What injuries does she have?" Mitchell hesitated. "She has some bruising, a split lip, but Mr. Reed's account was very clear." "Where is she?" "She's in holding, but ma'am, I need to explain." "Show me my daughter." Rita stood up. "Diana, maybe we should—" "Sergeant Vasquez." A new voice cut through the tension, sharp, authoritative. Lieutenant Marcus Chen stepped into the lobby, late 40s, graying at the temples, the kind of cop who'd seen everything and believed nothing until it was proven. "Is there a problem here?" Chen asked. Rita straightened. Lieutenant, this is Diana Hartley. She used to work. I know who she is. Chen looked directly at me. Detective Hartley, retired 5 years ago, ran the domestic violence unit, trained half the detectives in this city. He paused. And you're here because your daughter was arrested tonight. Yes. Chen's expression didn't change. Officer Mitchell, Sergeant Vasquez. He looked at them both. I don't care who this woman is. I don't care what her service record says. We follow protocol. No special treatment. If the evidence supports the arrest stands. If it doesn't, we release Ms. Reed, but we do this by the book, understood? Yes, sir, they both said. Chen turned back to me. Ms. Hartley, I respect your service, but you're not a detective anymore, and this is your daughter. You're too close to this. You'll wait in the family area while we re-examine the evidence. You don't touch this case. Every instinct in my body screamed to argue, to pull rank, to use every connection I'd built over 25 years to get into that holding area. But Chen was right, and I'd spent my entire career fighting for victims to be taken seriously. I couldn't undermine that now by demanding special treatment. I understand, I said quietly. But, Lieutenant, I need to see her. I need to know she's alive. Something flickered in Chen's eyes. Maybe he had kids too. Mitchell, bring Ms. Reed to interview room 2. Her mother can see her through the observation window, 5 minutes. Chen walked away. Rita gave me a sympathetic look, but said nothing. Mitchell led me down the hallway, the same hallway I knew like the back of my hand, past the vending machine that never worked, past the bulletin board with wanted posters and department memos, past the interview room where I'd gotten confessions from men who swore they loved their wives right before they beat them. We stopped at interview room 2. Mitchell unlocked the observation room next door. 5 minutes, he said quietly. I stepped inside. The one-way glass looked into the small interview room. Empty chairs, metal table, fluorescent light that made everything look harsh and cold. Then the door opened and they brought her in. Sophie. My breath caught in my throat. Her right eye was swollen nearly shut, purple and black and grotesque. Her bottom lip was split in 2 places, crusted with dried blood. She moved slowly, carefully, like every step hurt. Her hands were trembling. But it was her eyes that destroyed me. The way she looked at the floor, the way her shoulders curled inward, the way she made herself smaller, I'd seen that look 1,000 times. On 1,000 victims. Women who'd been beaten down so thoroughly they couldn't remember how to stand up straight, but I'd never seen it on my daughter. I pressed my hand against the glass. She couldn't see me through the one-way mirror, but I didn't care. Sophie, I whispered. Baby, I'm here. Officer Mitchell stood next to her, looking increasingly uncomfortable. He helped her into a chair, and she winced. Can I get you some water? He asked. Sophie nodded without saying a word. Mitchell left to get water. For 30 seconds, Sophie sat alone in that room. And then she did something that made my blood run cold. She lifted her shirt, just slightly. A massive bruise covered her stomach, black and purple and yellow, fresh, brutal. She wasn't showing me she didn't know I was watching. She was checking it herself, touching it gently, wincing at her own touch. I realized with growing horror that this wasn't the first time she'd been hit. This was just the first time she'd called the police. Mitchell returned with water. Sophie quickly pulled her shirt down. I stepped back from the glass. My hands were shaking again. But not from fear this time, from rage. Somehow, Marcus had convinced the police that Sophie was the attacker. I turned to Mitchell. I need to see your husband. Ma'am, Lieutenant Chen said, where is Marcus Reed right now? Mitchell hesitated. He's in the waiting area. Gave his statement and we told him he could go home, but he insisted on staying. Said he was worried about his wife. Of course he did. Abusers always played the concerned husband. Bring me to Marcus. Mitchell sighed and led me back down the hallway, through the lobby to the waiting area. And there he was. He sat with perfect posture, phone in hand, looking every bit the successful businessman wronged by an unstable wife. Tall, handsome, expensive haircut, designer jacket. Despite the hour, he had a scratch on his cheek. Thin, superficial, the kind you get when someone tries to push you away, and that's when I knew. Sophie had fought back tonight, maybe for the first time, and Marcus had made sure he had visible injuries so he could claim self-defense. He looked up and saw me. His eyes widened slightly, then he smiled. "Diana," he said, standing up. "Thank God you're here. Sophie, she's not well. She attacked me tonight. I think she needs help. Professional help, I'm worried about her." I looked at him, and for the first time, I saw exactly what he was. I kept my voice calm. Professional, the way I used to when I knew someone was lying to my face. "Marcus, walk me through what happened tonight." He sighed, a long, weary sound, playing the exhausted victim. "I got home from a client dinner around 11. Sophie was already upset. She'd been drinking." "Sophie doesn't drink," I cut in. "She does now." He held up his phone. "I have videos from the past few months. She's been unstable, mood swings, accusations. Tonight she snapped." Mitchell was watching our exchange, his young face uncertain. "What kind of accusations?" I asked. Marcus hesitated for just a fraction of a second, but I saw it. That I was controlling her, that I was isolating her from friends. "Honestly, Diana, I think she needs to see someone, a therapist. Maybe medication. Show me the videos." "I don't think that's necessary." "Let's see them." Marcus glanced at Mitchell, then back at me. He unlocked his phone and pulled up a video, turned the screen toward me. The footage showed Sophie in their kitchen. She was crying, screaming something I couldn't make out. She threw a glass. It shattered against the wall. Her face was twisted with rage and pain. "See?" Marcus said softly. "This has been going on for months. I've been documenting it because I was worried. Tonight she came at me with a lamp and I had to defend myself. I didn't want to call the police, but she was out of control." "When was this video taken?" I asked. 2 weeks ago. There are more." "What happened right before she threw that glass?" I pressed. Marcus blinked. "What?" "The video starts with her already upset. What happened in the 30 seconds before you started recording?" His jaw tightened. "I don't remember. She gets like this." "Officer Mitchell," I said, not taking my eyes off Marcus. "When you arrived at their house tonight, where exactly was Sophie?" Mitchell cleared his throat. "She was in the kitchen, ma'am, near the counter." "And where was Marcus?" He was also in the kitchen, standing between her and the front door. "So she couldn't leave." Marcus's expression hardened. "I was trying to calm her down before she hurt herself." "Did you see the lamp she allegedly attacked him with?" I asked Mitchell. "It was on the floor, broken," Mitchell replied. "Where was it in relation to Sophie?" Mitchell frowned, thinking. It was closer to Mr. Reed, actually, near where he was standing. "So the lamp was on his side of the room, but she somehow picked it up and attacked him with it." Marcus's smile was gone now. "She threw it at me." "A table lamp? Those are heavy, and you have one small scratch. If she threw a ceramic lamp at your head, you'd have more than a scratch." "Diana?" Marcus said, his voice dropping lower, more controlled. "I know you're upset. She's your daughter. But you're not thinking clearly. Sophie attacked me. The police saw the evidence." I took a step closer. "I'm thinking about how abusers always document their victims' instability, how they record the moments when their victims finally break down from the abuse, but never record what they did to cause it. I'm thinking about how you're standing here with one scratch while my daughter has a split lip, a black eye, and bruises on her stomach that are at least a few days old." Marcus's eyes went cold. "You're not a cop anymore, Diana. You don't get to interrogate me." "You're right, I'm not a cop, I'm a mother." "Mitchell," Marcus said sharply, turning to the young officer. "Am I being charged with anything, or am I free to go?" Mitchell looked between us, clearly out of his depth. You're free to go, sir. We have your statement. Good. Marcus grabbed his jacket. Diana, I hope Sophie gets the help she needs. I really do, but I can't be around her when she's like this. It's not safe. He walked toward the exit, stopped, then turned back. Oh, and Diana? You might want to ask Sophie about her phone, about what's on it, before you decide I'm the monster here. Then he was gone. Mitchell shifted uncomfortably. Ms. Hartley, I should get back to... Where's her phone? It's in evidence. Mr. Reed gave it to us when we arrived. Said she'd been recording him without his permission, that she was building a harassment case. Then get Lieutenant Chen. Tell him I need to see my daughter's phone now. 10 minutes later, I was in Chen's office. Sophie's phone sat on his desk in a clear evidence bag. You can't take it, Chen said, and I can't let you access it without a warrant. I'm not asking to take it, I'm asking you to look at it, as part of your investigation. Chen studied me. You think there's something on here that changes the story? I know there is. He picked up the phone. It's locked. 6-digit passcode, her birthday plus her favorite number. I read it off to him. Chen typed it in. The phone unlocked. He opened the photo gallery, started scrolling. His expression changed almost immediately. Jesus, he muttered. He turned the screen toward me. Sophie had been documenting her injuries for months. A bruise on her ribs. Dated 3 months ago, fingerprint marks on her upper arm. Dated 6 weeks ago, a split lip. Dated 2 weeks ago. All hidden, all taken in secret, all showing a pattern of escalating violence. Chen kept scrolling. He opened a voice memos folder. The first one was dated 2 months ago. Chen pressed play. Marcus's voice came through, cold and threatening. If you tell anyone about this, I'll make sure they don't believe you. I'll show them the videos of you losing it. I'll tell them about your family history of mental illness. I don't have a family history of mental illness. Sophie's voice, small and scared. They don't know that. And who are they going to believe? A successful businessman or an unstable wife who attacks her husband? Chen stopped the recording. His jaw was tight. There are more, I said. He played the second one, dated 3 weeks ago. Marcus again. You're not leaving. You don't have money. You don't have a job anymore. You don't have anywhere to go. You think your mother's going to believe you? I've been having dinners with her for 3 years. I ask her about her cases. I learn from her. I know exactly what she looks for. And I've made sure there's nothing for her to find. I felt my hands clench into fists. Chen played a third recording, this one from tonight. Sophie's voice. Marcus, please, I just want to leave. A crash, Sophie crying out. Then Marcus yelling, You're not going anywhere. You think you can just walk out after everything I've done for you? You broke my lamp, Sophie cried out. No, you broke it. That's what I'm going to tell the police. You attacked me with it. You're unstable, violent, and I have the videos to prove it. Another crash, Sophie screaming. Then the sound of a phone being grabbed. The recording ended. Chen set the phone down. He looked at me. Mitchell arrested the wrong person, he said quietly. Reed knew exactly what he was doing. He staged the scene, made sure he had visible injuries, took her phone so she couldn't show us these recordings. Chen stood up. I'm releasing your daughter, and I'm getting a warrant for Marcus Reed's arrest. They brought Sophie to Chen's office 20 minutes later. She saw me, and her face crumbled. I wrapped my arms around her, and she collapsed into me, sobbing. I'm sorry, she kept saying. I'm so sorry, Mom. I should have told you. I should have... Baby, you have nothing to be sorry for. Chen cleared his throat. Ms. Reed, I owe you an apology. We made a mistake tonight. A serious one. You should never have been arrested. We're releasing you immediately, and we're pursuing charges against your husband for domestic violence, assault, and filing a false police report. Sophie pulled back from me, wiping her eyes. He said no one would believe me. We believe you, Chen said, and we have the evidence to prove what he did. What about the videos, the ones he has of me? Doesn't matter, I said. Those videos show the aftermath. not the cause. Any defense attorney worth their salt will tear them apart. Rita appeared in the doorway. Lieutenant, Marcus Reed just returned to the station. Says he wants to file additional charges against Sophie. He's in the lobby. Chen's expression hardened. Perfect. Mitchell, go arrest him. I watched through the lobby window as Mitchell approached Marcus. The young officer looked nervous but determined. Marcus Reed, you're under arrest for domestic violence, assault, and filing a false police report. Marcus's face went from smug to shocked to enraged in the span of 3 seconds. What? You can't. This is ridiculous. Sophie attacked me. Mitchell pulled out handcuffs. You have the right to remain silent. I know my rights. Marcus jerked away. Diana put you up to this. She's manipulating you because she can't accept that her daughter is mentally ill. Mr. Reed, I need you to turn around. I'm not. You can't. Marcus looked around wildly, saw me standing with Sophie through the office window. His expression turned venomous. This isn't over, Diana. You think you're so smart? You think you've won? I'll get the best lawyers. I'll make sure everyone knows what Sophie really is. Mr. Reed. Chen's voice cut through the lobby. He stood in his doorway, arms crossed. We have recordings. Your voice threatening your wife, admitting you staged tonight's scene, admitting you studied Detective Hartley's cases to learn how to abuse without getting caught. Marcus went very still. So here's what's going to happen, Chen continued. You're going to let Officer Mitchell put those cuffs on you. You're going to be booked, and then you're going to sit in a cell. And, Marcus? Chen's voice dropped lower. I trained under Detective Hartley. So did half the detectives in this city. You think you're smart? You think you learned enough to get away with this? You're about to find out just how wrong you are. Marcus's face drained of color. Mitchell cuffed him. Read him his rights, then led him away. Sophie and I watched through the window until he disappeared down the hallway toward the holding cells. Is it really over? Sophie whispered. The hard part's just beginning, I said honestly. There'll be a trial, testimony, you'll have to face him again. And then there's everything after, healing from this learning to trust again. That takes time. Will you help me? Sophie, I took her face in my hands. I'll be with you every step, for as long as it takes. She leaned against me. We stood like that for a long time. 6 months later, the courtroom was packed. I sat in the gallery, holding Sophie's hand. She was trembling slightly, but her back was straight. Her eye had healed. The bruises were gone. But I knew the invisible scars would take much longer. Marcus sat at the defense table in an orange jumpsuit. He'd tried to make bail, but Chen had argued successfully that he was a flight risk. 6 months in county lockup had taken the polish off him. He looked older, harder. The prosecutor stood up. Your Honor, the people call Sophie Reed to the stand. Sophie's hand tightened on mine. She walked to the witness stand. For the next hour, she told her story. The gradual control, the isolation. The first time he hit her, the way he documented her breaking points, but never his attacks. The threats, the fear. Marcus's lawyer tried to rattle her, brought up the videos of her violent outbursts. Ms. Reed, isn't it true that you have a history of emotional instability? No, I have a history of being abused. These videos show you throwing objects, screaming. These videos show what happened after my husband beat me, after he controlled every aspect of my life, after he threatened me. They don't show what he did to cause those moments. But you admit you threw things. I admit I was being abused. And when you're abused, sometimes you break down. That doesn't make me the abuser. The jury was watching Sophie carefully. Several were nodding. The recordings were played. Marcus's voice filling the courtroom, cold and calculating, admitting everything his lawyer had no defense for those. The jury deliberated for less than 2 hours. Guilty on all counts. Sentencing was immediate. 7 years. No parole for 5. As they led Marcus out, he looked at Sophie one last time. His expression was pure hatred. But Sophie didn't look away. She stared right back, and she didn't flinch. Months later, Sophie's therapist suggested we do a joint session to address the things you haven't said to each other. We sat in Dr. Chen's office, soft lighting, comfortable chairs, a box of tissues on the table between us. "Sophie," Dr. Chen said gently, "is there something you want to ask your mother?" Sophie looked at her hands. "Why didn't you see it?" It was the question I'd been dreading. "You're a detective," Sophie continued, voice small. "You investigated this stuff for 25 years. You saw me every week. How did you not know?" I'd prepared for this, rehearsed answers, but sitting across from my daughter, all the practiced words disappeared. "Because I wanted you to be happy," I said quietly. "I was married to your father for 12 years. We weren't happy. We were functional, respectful, but we never had what I saw you and Marcus have. That light in your eyes when you talked about him. That glow." Sophie's jaw tightened. "But that wasn't real. I know now, but I didn't know then, and some part of me," I had to force the words out, "some part of me didn't want to look too closely because you seemed happy. I never found that, and I wanted better for you. So when you found someone who seemed perfect, I let myself believe it. Even when I wore turtlenecks in summer?" My breath caught. She remembered. "Marcus told me what to say if you asked. That I was cold, that I bruised easily, that I was clumsy." Sophie's voice hardened. "He had answers for everything he studied you, Mom. He knew what you'd look for, and he made sure you'd never find it. That doesn't excuse—" "No, it doesn't." Sophie looked up at me. "But I need you to know something. I don't blame you for missing it. I blame him for doing it. You came when I called, you believed me. That's what saved me." "I should have seen it sooner," I whispered. "Maybe, but Mom—" Sophie's voice cracked. "I didn't want you to see it either, because if you saw it, that meant admitting it was real. That meant my marriage was a lie. That meant I'd failed. I hid it from you as much as he did." We were both crying now. "I'm sorry," I said. "I'm so sorry, Sophie." Dr. Chen handed us both tissues. "What you're both describing is very common. Victims hide abuse to protect themselves and their loved ones. And loved ones miss signs because they want to believe everything is okay." "Diana, you didn't fail Sophie. The system is designed to make abusers invisible, especially to the people who love the victims most." A year later, I was in my kitchen making coffee when Sophie showed up at my door. She let herself in with the key I'd given her. "Hey, Mom." She sat at my kitchen table. She looked good, healthy. She'd gotten her job back 6 months ago. Slowly rebuilt the friendships Marcus had destroyed. "So," she said, wrapping her hands around the mug I handed her, "I got a call yesterday from a woman named Jessica. She's Marcus's ex-girlfriend from 8 years ago." I sat down across from her. "What did she want?" "She read about the trial. She wanted to tell me." Sophie's voice caught. "Marcus did the same thing to her. She tried to report it, but he'd already documented her instability. No one believed her. She dropped the charges because she was terrified. He threatened to destroy her life." My chest tightened. "Sophie, she wants to press charges now, with my case as evidence. She thinks there might be other women he did this to." Sophie looked at me. "Mom, what if I wasn't the first? What if I'm not the last?" I reached across the table and took her hand. "Then we find them. We help them. We make sure Marcus never gets the chance to do this to anyone else." Sophie nodded slowly. "There's something else. The prosecutor. She asked if I'd be willing to talk to police departments about how abusers adapt how they study law enforcement tactics to avoid detection. She thinks it could help train officers to spot these patterns." Pride swelled in my chest. "You'd be perfect for that." I was thinking maybe we could do it together. You teach the investigative side. I teach the victim side. Show them both perspectives. I squeezed her hand. "I'd be honored." Sophie smiled. It was small, but it was real. The first completely genuine smile I'd seen from her in years. We sat together in my kitchen, drinking coffee as the morning sun came through the window. There was still healing to do, still hard days ahead, but Sophie had survived, and now she was going to help others survive too. Marcus had studied my cases to learn how to be a perfect abuser. But in the end, my daughter taught him something he never expected: that perfect abusers still lose when their victims refuse to stay silent. Did I do the right thing? And what city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. Thank you so much for watching.